All right. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings. I pray that all is well and you all are in the best of health and spirits. It is your sister, Denise Renee Muhammad, your aromatherapist, and my brother Sean Ali of Supreme Health and Wellness. We're coming on today for another edition of the Health and Wellness Power Hour. And our topic today is the science of fat busting. If you are having complications trying to get rid of that weight, that extra weight, tune in to this show. You're definitely going to learn why that is. So as you come in, please share the video. Share the video. Sharing is caring. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sean. How are you today?
Wa alaikum assalam. All is well, sis. All is well.
Praise be to
Alive.
Allah. Praise. That's
Right.
right. Alive and well.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So, yes, our show today, I'm excited about this one. The science of fat busting. And as you were sharing
Mhm.
that information with me yesterday, it was some things that I hadn't heard or didn't know. So, let's go ahead and get into it. And inshallah, we'll be able to help some people today.
Oh yes, that's the goal, right?
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Always the
So
goal.
yeah. So and when we're looking at this, right, we are want to focus on specific parts of the body, particularly the stomach and the intestines, right? And this is where knowledge is self, knowledge is power, knowledge is wealth, all of those great things we learn about knowledge. We are ready to
Right.
apply, they are ready to all be applicable right now, right? So, and
Yes.
especially knowledge of self, because what we are going into is not necessarily something you are doing wrong. This is something that they are finding that's occurring even when you are doing everything possible right to combat fat and weight management, right? So
Right.
and that's the part that where the anatomy comes in at, because it's simply reactions, cause and effect. For every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. But when we
Right.
hear that the body is designed to heal itself and repair itself, that's what
Hmm.
we are dealing with as well, right? So when we're looking at adipose fat, and it it has several roles in the body. The only time this becomes bad is when we have it too much of it. That's it. Because
Right.
we're born with it. You got white, beige, and brown fat. And when we're dealing with the adipose fat, this is what that weight, that visceral fat and that subcutaneous fat that leads to obesity, which is fat gain. So this is
Hmm.
what we're dealing with, that subcutaneous. Woo, glad I know how to spell that one.
I know, right?
That subcutaneous and that visceral fat. So that subcutaneous fat, that's the layer of fat that's underneath of the skin. So oh, I don't know if you can see it, but it would be that orange that separates the red muscle from the actual skin. That's a layer of fat. That subcutaneous fat. It's
Right.
energy, it's cushioning, it's a protect. I mean, it has several roles, as well as the immune system and because the immune cells are fat soluble. Hormones are fat soluble, right? Vitamin D, vitamin
Right.
A are fat soluble. So they need this fat for the body to metabolize. And if you have too many of those elements, the body stores them as fat.
Hmm.
So when in the race to have all of these supplements and such, and these dosages of vitamin D, And this is where we're going. We're covering all of this because in the cause of you trying to help yourself, you could be hurting yourself because vitamin D is fat soluble. So if you
Right.
go over your recommended daily amount, all of that extra is stored in the fat cells. Your body will create fat to store things,
Fat to,
calories.
right.
Yeah. That's one of his easiest storage. It's easy to create fat. It's easy to convert fat. So but if we don't know that some of the things that we are trying to help ourselves with can cause a detrimental side effect to us. This is where we have that struggle at, sis. You dig what I'm? This is
Right.
where we both get clients and those that ask us for help with weight, losing fat, right? Because the older you get with it, the more deadlier it becomes.
Right.
So, and then it becomes in a rush to get it off. Oh man, I'm getting older, but it becomes a struggle for those, right? So understanding that certain elements are fat soluble.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go over your recommended daily amount allowance of these elements, your body will store them as fat. So subcutaneous fat, this is the fat on the skin, right? And the visceral fat, this is the midsection fat, mostly. This is the fat around these organs, around and if you can see this yellow strip, it sits on the stomach sits like this. And that yellow strip
Right.
represents that layer of fat that covers the midsection. So all of the
Mm-hmm.
stomach, everything below that, your lungs, they're encased in a layer of fat. This blue representation, this is the mesentery. This is the layer of fat that connects the folds of the intestines to our spinal column, to the back. So
Wow.
all of these things are. So when you see that blue strip, this is the mesentery. This is called the mesentery, and it's attached to the intestines, and they just like my hand, they hold the intestines to the body.
In place. Right.
Yes, right. So, but where we going to go at, and we're saying this because where we're going to go, this area, that mesentery, plays an important integral part, right? So, sis, you gotta the first slide, because we want to show some identification of, and these are representation of real bodies, so they aren't even rendition, right? uh,
Wow.
um you can throw that one up, the first slide for us, please.
Okay. Yes. This computer is moving a
Oh
little
yeah,
slow.
take your time, no worries.
All right. Okay.
And
Here we go.
this picture should represent both the subcutaneous and the visceral fat, right? So as you can see, this represents both. And it says on the slimmer one, it
Sit up.
says you can be thin but still carry dangerous visceral fat. And see, the visceral fat is that midsection fat. And on the right, you see the bigger person, they have both visceral fat in that midsection, and you can see how the subcutaneous fat is puffing under the skin. Now you see the muscles, all of it, and they become dangerous because they squeeze.
Right.
They squeeze, right.
Mm-hmm.
So and this, and I understand this is the struggle. So all right, you could take that. So when you're looking at us managing, fighting, losing, busting fat, right? Yes, you think you can go and get a quick fix. Surgery is definitely a quick fix. But the cause of the fat, especially if you are eating well, especially if you are exercising, especially if you are doing all of the things that would supposed to take off the weight, right? This is why you
Right.
are struggling. We are going into several ways. These are different methods of what causes fat. So, and when we're looking at this visceral fat and this subcutaneous fat or adipose fat itself, these are cells, right? So these cells, they make your body develop blood vessels because they have to be supplied with oxygen, nutrients, and they need veins to take the waste away, right? So then it makes
Right.
your body develop nerves because that's the electricity that supplies all of the cells that causes that action of life, right? So
Right.
these two things, these are created in your body. Now, these fat cells, they are sending signals. See, they are sending signals because they want you to eat more fat because they want to survive. See, they're not built, muscles are built on protein. Fat isn't.
Right.
Fat wants you to eat right.
Eat more fat.
Right. So the more we're born with fat, so fat, this is not bad because the amount of fat that we naturally are born with, the signal isn't a strong signal. The
Right.
more fat cells you have, the more signals you have because each cell has a signal. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Hmm.
this is what you are trying to reverse. And when people get that extra weight and they stretch their skin and they lose the weight, but that stretching is still there
It's
because
still
this is
there.
what the body has to, all of that new material are cells. And now your body is developing all of these things to feed those. So to take that off, you really have to reverse engineer the process. So if
Right.
this is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that fasting is our cure for over
That's right.
90%, over 90% of our ills, right? So
Right.
when we are looking at this is a biological process that's happening. This is a chemical process that's happening, a hormonal process that's happening, a
Hmm.
metabolic process. All of these things are happening at once, and they are sending signals that can. And remember, we have autonomic nervous system, which is autopilot. Fight or flight is under the autonomic nervous system. Stress is
Right.
under the autonomic nervous system. Then you have the parasympathetic nervous system where we can get control over ourselves. But we got to understand that we do have an autopilot. So you can get a signal. This signal can, and it's going to your brain. So you sitting there and you just boom, and now this signal is hitting your brain. And the part of your brain that it hits is the limbic system right
That's
here.
right.
So now, in order to turn it off, you have to satisfy yourself. Woo!
Right. Get that satiety.
It is, since it's a food signal, since it's a fat signal, guess what your number one go-to food is going to be? Fat.
Fat.
Fat. And you're gonna, we saw the picture. Skinny people can suffer from this condition too. So this ain't had nothing to do with your size. You can see that skinny person with that big stomach. I mean, they're not fat. They just have a big protrude. It's
Right.
visceral.
Everything else is skinny in that, ex-
Right.
except for that midsection.
Right. So before we go further, right? Let's show the next slide, and then we can go to your oil, sis,
Okay. Here
because
we go.
this is we talking about this so we can, and y'all see this. This is a representation, okay? The mesentery, the blue that I showed you, no, this is the intestines. This is a section of the intestinal tract. On one side, on the left side, the orange where it's like yellowish, where you can see the glove holding
Yes.
it.
Mm-hmm.
That's creeping. That's an intestine covered with what they call creeping fat. On the right is the same section of how it's supposed to look. And the yellow that's coming off of it, that's the mesentery. That's how it connects to the intestines. And it's supposed to be fatty, but on the left, that's called creeping fat. Okay, sis, you can take that down. So
Okay.
now look, because now y'all, this is a lot of people probably already knew this, but now see, they have something called creeping fat. Woo!
Creeping
Listen,
fat. It does
creeping
creep
fat,
up on you though.
creeping fat. Okay, now this is associated with that this with the intestines and the stomach,
Mhm.
mostly with the intestines. Creeping fat is associated with the intestines. And a lot of this is the jejunum, this is the ileum. A lot of that trouble is it starts here in the ileum where the small intestines connect to the large intestines, right? So, and I just because we need to know our anatomy. So when you're getting
Right.
these type of pains and you are grabbing one side or the other, you can't see this, but you can't see inside of yourself. So if you are looking in this, like irritable bowel syndrome, the bowels, that's in the where that fupa is at. If you see, if you looking and you see where that with the women, which y'all call the fupa, the mom pouch, and all that stuff right
Right.
there, that's your intestines. Your stomach sits on top of that. So that's not a stomach problem. The
Mm.
stomach sits on top of the intestines. So when you're dealing with that lower belly, abdominal area, that's the
Right.
intestines. That's why we're going into the creeping fat. Now, because this deals with this part of the body. So, creeping fat inside of the intestines, right? The intestinal tract on the inside, it's little hair-like substances called cilia. This is
Right.
the inside. This is the outside of the intestine. This is the inside. So when you eat, the food particles, they fall in one of these and they are absorbed to the inside. This is the blood vessels and stuff. So
Mhm.
when it's not a solid piece of material. It's the cells. It's a bunch of cells that are bonded together. So it's not as solid. You can see the cracks in between, right? So
Right.
when we overeat, when we get that, we wear our intestines out, when we are eating the wrong food choices, right? This is how nutrients get out anyway. Because remember, your blood vessels and your lymphatic vessels, they are inside of this. So the nutrients, they come through these cells to be absorbed and transported.
Right.
Now, with the irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's syndrome, and where creeping fat comes in that. So sometimes this material eats through the cells, right? And now it's at the outside of the intestinal tract. And this material will squeeze out. And a protecting measure of your body is to create adipose fat, to block it, to plug that hole up, and to catch anything that leaks out. The
Wow.
more you eat, the more you eat, the more you eat, the more material creeps through that break, right? And the body will keep building fat. They call it creeping fat. And the science is that once your body starts it, it's no off switch
Wow. That's,
because it's trying to save itself. So it's trying to
yes.
plug up. Right.
Plug up those leaks. Man, the body is amazing. Like,
Hey, it's an article on the
oh
next, the
my
next,
goodness.
it's a slide. Then we going right to you. The next slide, we can get that
Yes.
out the way. And then,
Wow.
and so
Creepy fat.
creeping fat.
That's amazing.
Family, I hope it's making sense to the audience, because this is a cause and effect. And if we don't understand this, and this says we found that adipose tissue is actually responding to bacteria that have migrated out of the patient's damaged intestines and directly into the fat. We believe the creeping migration of the fat around the intestines is intended to try and plug leaks in the diseased organ to prevent the gut bacteria from getting into the bloodstream. Man, look, yo.
Wow.
See? So when we are looking at this, they've been studying. This is a new science. This is a research from 2020, right? And because they are
Yes.
looking, obesity is a phenomenon. This is a new phenomenon. And people are striving to do everything right, but it's not working. So
Right.
now they looking at, okay, why is the body keep producing fat when they aren't eating fat and exercising? See, when you eating right and you
Because
on a
of the
low
leaky
fat,
gut.
low fat diet and you're exercising, but you haven't lost the fat. See, that's what they were looking at. So now they're looking at, okay, we know everybody is overeating. We know this. We know that everybody is wearing out their digestive tract, from you having esophagus problems, you having that acid reflux problem, then you got ulcers in
Right.
your stomach, then you got pancreatic cancer. That's because your pancreas is it's operating too much. You got gallbladder, gallstones, kidney problems, and all of this is your digestive system.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? So in the body, one of the ways it will try to protect itself is to produce this fat, because once these holes get there, these ulcers, the material that leaks out is dangerous to the body.
So the body is trying to achieve balance, the struggle for balance. So it
Yes.
creates that creepy fat to plug up the holes. Wow.
And we get back to the signals, which is why I led with that, because these fat cells, they don't know that they are just supposed to do that. they don't know that they just supposed to plug. They are growing because they want to survive. They're cells now. So these cells have a
Right.
nucleus, right? So they're sending signals. And the more of these that you collect, that's why they call it creeping fat, because look, it starts here. And a lot of the times, that's why most people, that predominant left pain, this is that irritation, because it's a sphincter there that goes to the large intestines, and that's just a weak spot. So the body is producing that fat, Man,
Wow.
that's the
That's
next
amazing.
it's a picture of it. We have a picture of it, right? The next
Which
picture
one
is
is it?
the very next one should be.
Yeah, I didn't get that one. Or is
That's
it?
all the ones you want.
Let me see.
Okay, yeah, right
Let me
here.
see this one.
So yeah, that's it. So the fatty,
Okay.
obese, white adipose tissue. That's what you're looking at. So you're looking at at the bottom is the cell wall, and that's you can see when bacteria or food particles or gastric juices squeeze out, the body produces fat cells to absorb it. And you can see how it's grabbing the bacteria, it's grabbing the different things that are coming out of the cell wall. And that's at the intestines. That rendition is of the intestinal wall, the outside of the
Right.
intestinal wall, not the inside. So when you wear that hole through your intestine,
Wow.
you just increase the cells aren't touching, but they are small enough to keep what they want to keep out. The more we eat, these intestines, they are made to expand. So as they expand, they that gap is widened. So now things that normally it could keep in, it can easily get out. So your body is, like I said, it's creating fat, and it'll create fat right around this area. So
Mm-hmm.
you'll have
Sure
creepy
will.
fat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And gravity is pulling everything down
Pulling it.
anyway. So everything is pulling to this area anyway. And you are
Wow.
exercising, you are eating your salads,
Doing
you are drinking
everything.
your right. So that part, now we are looking at how, okay, Brother Sean, Sister Denise, how do we control this? What is the solution?
Right.
Right? So now, okay, the next slide, and we're going right into the solution, sis.
Okay.
Because yep, this is because we got to understand this part just as well. Because now you see the rendition. This represents the brain gut relationship. We hear about that, right? So you look at this is what stress does to those cells in your digestive tract. Stress, because it's producing adrenaline and cortisol. So stress will weaken your intestinal cell, that wall, and allow things to come out as you see in this rendition. So this is why when you have stress, it causes ulcers and things like that because it weakens your system. So we are
Mm-hmm.
seeing this is now the response to this stress is your body will produce more adipose tissue to collect that material and plug up that hole.
Right.
And that's under the autonomic nervous system. So if you don't know how to stop it, because once you are under fight or flight, you are on autopilot. You got to know how to cut yourself off and stop stressing yourself out, right? So,
Right.
Sister Denise, and listen, I know we've been waiting, but we building up because we had to show that this is might not be something that you are already doing. See, because
Right.
if you were already doing it, you wouldn't have the problem.
Exactly.
Then we trying to show you how, because once you control this, the removal of it will be instantaneous because your body isn't producing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Sister Denise,
Absolutely. Yes,
we gonna
indeed.
deal with the stress first
Yes, the
because
stress
yeah.
we have, and this is a great blend, and
Mm-hmm.
it's called Stress Away. So
Mm-hmm.
it literally does what the label is called, Stress Away, and it has cedar wood in it, which is great for, it's a natural, like a natural sedative. It has lime essential oil, which, helps to refresh your mind, give you that clarity, that mental clarity. It has
Mm,
vanilla in it. Vanilla actually goes to the satiety part of the brain to help you to fight those food cravings, right?
mm,
So it has
mm,
all of these oils in it. It has lavender in it, which is great for relaxation, de-stressing. So this
mm.
blend by itself, it helps to relieve the
Yes.
stress and also to relieve those food cravings. And it
Mm,
goes directly. All you do have to do is take the top off. If you don't have a diffuser, just inhale, and it smells so good. Just
right.
inhale and exhale a few times, and it's going within 22 seconds to that satiety center of your brain to help you with the food cravings and also to help you de-stress and feel satisfied to where you're not overeating and indulging and overindulging in things.
Mm, mm.
And that is stress. So that's what we want to do. Relieve that stress. You can
Mm.
also, you can, if you do have a diffuser, you can diffuse it. You can also put a couple of drops in your bath water, have a nice de-stressing, relaxing bath
That
as
sounds good.
well.
Yeah, that sounds good. Wow. And I just
Yes.
wrote this to support so they can see, okay, stress equals hormones, right? The stress hormones are
Right.
cortisol and adrenaline. Remember, hormones are fat soluble.
Right.
Oh, oh,
Okay.
right. Hormone and adrenaline comes from right here, your kidneys, that top of your, these are your adrenal glands that produce adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol. That's right there where
Right.
that mesentery is at. That mesentery that attaches your intestines to your body, it's right here. So one of the first organs and tissues that are affected by this output is the intestines in the stomach, in the digestive tract.
Mm-hmm.
But you can store it.
Wow.
So if you are stressed out, and stress, we know that's distress. It's not you stress, right? So you can't you stress yourself out. You got to distress yourself out.
Right.
So you're going
You
you're going to you're going to produce these hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, right? So when you're looking at these, this is the dangerous part. So why we need Sister Denise. Adrenaline, let's say the hormone looks like this, right? Let's say the cortisol hormone looks like this, right? So your body is going to produce these. These are the on switch, right? So when
right.
they try to go and find the key in your body so it can make that match and it can signal your body to stop producing, right? The dangers with distress is there is no off key. So your
No.
body doesn't have a cell in it that this cortisol can fit into. It doesn't have a cell in it that adrenaline can fit into. So your body doesn't stop producing it. It's flowing like a river, man. Because there
Right.
is no
Once
on switch.
so you have to turn it off, right?
Yes, it's called the negative feedback loop. The negative, these are when they hit this, they send a signal to your brain to say stop producing that. Because remember, This is the HPA axis, the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal gland axis. So your hypothalamus signals your pituitary gland signals your adrenal glands to produce these. There is no off switch because it's distress.
Wow.
So there's no negative feedback loop going to your hypothalamus to tell it to say stop. This is why you get that why me? Man, I don't know what I did. I can't control myself. Sister Denise has something for us. Man, sis, come on, man. How do you take this, sis? Do I gotta eat it?
No, you don't have to eat it, drink it. I can put it in a inhaler for you and just take the top off of that inhaler, put it up to your nostrils,
and inhale
take a
it.
few deep breaths. Right.
Your pituitary gland is right there, right here. So the nostril, look, 22 seconds is all it takes to reach. Your hypothalamus is the eye, right? That's your or right here, underneath your, right here. So when you smell it, it crosses that blood-brain barrier. It hits your hypothalamus. It tells your pituitary gland to stop.
Right.
So that signal goes down to your spinal column and it tells your adrenal glands to stop.
Right. Get into that rest and digest.
Yes. Your parasympathetic nervous system. Yes. See,
Brother Sean.
Yep.
I'm sorry. We have a question. Brother Bilal asks, is this one of the reasons why people overeat?
Yeah. Yes, that is very good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is very good. One of the reasons why. And that, because once you get done with stress, this requires an enormous amount of energy. Once this finally is over, your body is going to want you to replace that energy. Human energy is carbohydrates, glucose, sugar. This is where the sugar craving comes in. See, I'm 40, I'm 48, you got people older than me and still struggle with sugar habits. It's not because they can't control them. This is what's happening. This is autonomic nervous system. You can the only way you can break this if somebody come up and smack you and or you can reach in your pocket. You can reach in your pocket and you can get that inhaler that you got from Sister Denise.
Right.
And you can smell it, man. 22 seconds. It won't even take 22 seconds. They just say that because some people can be so bad. It takes 20.
Right. Oh my goodness.
But if you, as soon as you smell those, it's not magical. It's like smelling something beautiful that just takes your attention away from whatever it is you was on. But if you were mad, sad, depressed, this is the medicinal quality. It brings you out of that.
Right.
You dig? And right. And now your body can go work back to repairing itself. A lot of us, we wake up like this. This is how a lot of people wake up.
Yeah.
For those, look, homework. Look, if you don't wake up naturally, if you didn't want to wake up, your alarm clock woke you up, or somebody else, when they say sleep is like death, the process for your body to wake you up, it has to give you a shot of adrenaline and cortisol. It's like them when they hit you with that voltage at the doctor. This is why sometimes you wake up, whoo, man, yo, because This your body has to. This is how your body wakes you up, man. Adrenaline
That's
and
right.
cortisol. That's that breaking that sleep. And in religion, when they say you pray to God, because this is dangerous.
Right. Sometimes you can wake up, start on your heart racing,
Mm, wow. Yes,
you know?
yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
So, and keep in mind the oils, because we want to look at the physical damage, right? Because we know that this causes physical damage because the stress weakens the intestinal wall, which allow debris and gastric juices to come out. So the body is going to produce that fat to repair it. So we know that when we're looking at that, so when we know we're looking at that, and what we're trying to achieve is to repair this area, because we want to, and it's not something that surgically they'll go in and resection. They'll take a part out and then they'll sew these two together. So
Right.
that's the surgical. That's what the European gonna give you. It's called resection. He gonna take that out. Boom. Okay, so now the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about fasting, right? And he taught us about
Right.
eating one meal a day, right? To not wear out your stomach. And that stomach includes our entire digestive tract. So it doesn't matter what you eat. If you are eating this material and it's flowing, right? This is a gap. Just willy-nilly material is going to get out. It could be good material. That's not how it's supposed to get into the body. You can turn it off. So the body is going to keep producing those fat cells. It's going to keep, because if this material gets out, it's going to be toxic and poisonous. It's
Right.
going to cause harm, right? So this could be that vitamin D, that zinc. It could be anything. This is not how it gets into the body. So the body is just going to naturally keep producing, because every time you eat, something has the potential to come out because it's a big hole here.
Right.
So I'm not trying to sell nothing. We aren't. How to Eat to Live in One Meal a Day. That was one of the purposes, the honor, because he said once you lose your stomach, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
No replacement. No surgeries to replace the stomach.
And that includes the intestine. See, the pancreas, it's not that big. So it has to produce juice to neutralize the stomach acid. So this is the duodenum, this little C shape, right? This is where the pancreas has a chance to neutralize and raise the pH of the food that we eat, that's whatever's passing out of the stomach. And that's called
Right.
chyme. Everything that comes out of the stomach is called chyme. Chyme is at a 2 to 3 pH, very acidic. So in order to protect the intestines, if the pancreas produces a fluid that neutralizes it, right? So by the time it gets to the jejunum, it's 7.5, and it's not damaging. When we are constantly eating, this is where the pancreas damage comes in at. The pancreas it doesn't have enough juice to produce 3, 4, 5 meals. And then we eating big meals.
Right.
These ain't no little, these ain't no little meals. These are big
Supersized.
meals.
Right.
Right,
Supersized meals.
right. So, and when that material, so now this means that since it can't neutralize a lot of this, it can't keep up with it. So now acidic material is entering into the intestines. And this is further making that hole bigger and bigger. So your body is producing more and more fat to try to
Right.
save itself.
Right. Brother Sean, Brother Michael asks, what do you, brother and sister, recommend other than fasting? Fasting is the cure. Other than
I mean,
fasting to, let me finish his question.
oh yeah, go ahead.
Other
I'm
than
sorry. Yes.
fasting to clean, reset the intestinal tract.
Great question. This should be considered an injury. So it's not a disease or sickness, even though they'll call it Crohn's disease, but it's only, or irritable bowel disease or some other name.
Mhm.
It's not, because it's not something that a virus or bacteria necessarily cause. It's eating the wrong food or eating too much that injured these cells. So the beauty of these is, how do you treat an injury? How do you, if you had a cut or a broken bone, rather, you rest.
Right.
You rest that area. You stop working these cells, because the more these cells, they can't heal themselves and try to work at the same time, if that makes sense.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we since we control the body, we are going to make the body do one of two things. We are going to not eat and give it chance to heal itself, or we are going to
Mhm.
eat and make it work. If that, you see,
Right.
because sitting, if you don't eat nothing, the intestines, they're not activated. So if you look at how your body is made, these are at the end of the spinal column. Your power, if when you wake up, your power is here, because you haven't activated any organ in the lower region, right? So as soon as you eat, these organs have to be activated. They have to be fed. They have to have waste removed just to do their job. So now your heart wasn't pumping, it was pumping blood to them, but not, they weren't doing anything. Just like your muscles. If you aren't moving your muscles, blood is being pumped to them, but not at an excessive rate, because you aren't moving them. Like when you go to do
Right.
curls, you get that pump because blood is rushing to that area, right? Because you've activated your arms. When you activate your digestive system, that causes the body to, that's a stressful, digestion is hard on the body. That's why
Right.
the messenger gives us one meal a day, one meal every 2 days, one meal every 3 days, once a week, because digestion
Right.
is hard on the body and it's easy to wear out. These are delicate cells, right?
Mhm.
So as an, and now that's where Sister Denise comes in at, because when you get that craving, when you get that craving to eat and prayer isn't working, right? Try, and we're not making fun. We keeping it real, because we've all been there, right? And you hear all these things and sticking the clove in your mouth that ain't working. All of these remedies about how to control your appetite. Well, the Sister Denise hit us with
Control
it.
that.
Look, where your focus is
Control the
at?
mind. Right. Another one that's good for that is peppermint.
Yeah,
Peppermint, inhaling
boom.
peppermint oil goes to that satiety center, helps the cravings also. So
Mm,
definitely.
yes.
Mhm.
Now there are herbs that can help soothe the signal, because usually you don't know it's a problem. I mean, this is happening, you know, boom. Sometimes we get signals, but the body is, if we don't understand that,
with the creeping fat. They call this creeping fat, right? So this means it's in action. So you have to starve this. You have to starve these fat cells, right? And you got to
Right.
rest these cells. And that's the beauty of fasting, because it's absolutely free. It has no side of the side effect
No.
of fasting is health. You
Right.
know, if if you take something, your body still has to filter that stuff out. It's going to involve your liver. It's going. And it has to poop it out. Remove it.
Right.
So
And the beauty of
you
the
know,
essential oils, you can be fasting and still inhale it, and you're not breaking your fast.
mm,
And it's
and you're
soothing
learning
to
to.
the right, and
Yes,
it's soothing to the mind as well. So that's
yeah,
a good one to use while fasting.
yeah. I mean, you can clean with them. Man, the
Yeah,
oils,
so
these
many.
things,
Oh my goodness.
man. We just going at it from this angle with this because we get a lot of clients and we know a lot of people, family members.
Right.
We talk about this personally, how we wish we could help them. So that's why we put this show together. To say, hey, we know you're trying. Because we talk about that person. We know we
Mhm.
hear their stories where people are doing the teas, the this, the trainers, the that, and they still have the problem. And we're saying we got a fun and easier method, because if we know the science of how the body is creating this fat, now we can reverse engineer it, man, and we could stop it. This revolves your satiety. This don't revolve no food. This revolves around satisfaction. Man, oh, what? The part of
That
your brain
mental.
that controls hunger is the limbic system. That's dealing with your satisfaction,
Right.
man. Shoo.
Say I can't get no satisfaction.
Mm. Right, right, right. See, this is why we can have a light, fun show, because this is what this works. This is how we are talking about how the body works, right? And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to accept our own and be ourselves.
Be
Right.
yourself. That's right.
So, right. And if we just do it, the body will fix itself. That's the thing. If the doctor, physician is honest, they will tell you the body heals itself. They could just put you in a position for you to be comfortable and to facilitate
Mhm.
the healing, right?
Right. Right.
So, because the things that we go to them for isn't, we go because I got a headache, I got congestion, I got influence. Those aren't diseases, those are signals, those are reactions. So the things that we go to because we want to be comfortable. We don't want to be, I got a fever and I'm hot. I don't want to be hot.
Right.
My nose is stopped up. I'm not, I can't sleep. Man, let me go to the doctor. So that's why we go. And along the way, they'll give you some news that you didn't even wasn't ready for. We're going to tell you, listen,
Right.
easy. Inhale something. Sis got a book on stress. Sis,
Mhm.
you got your book?
Yeah, overcoming hypertension actually.
Mm.
Yes, I have it. I'll pull it up.
Mm. That's where the
But yeah,
average fat's coming from.
right. You find it.
Is that stress. They call it
Okay,
cortisol
here we
fat.
go.
Mm.
Mhm. Yep, overcoming hypertension naturally, and that's caused
Mm-hmm.
by stress,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Most of everything that we deal with is caused
Yes.
by stress. And I go over in this book, what you can do naturally, It's what essential oils to use and how to use them to overcome that naturally
Yeah.
without, you know,
And that's it.
and
To
that's
get out of
available. Yeah.
oh no, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I want you to finish this.
No, that's available on Amazon, and I can, if you want it, I can just send you the direct link to get that book.
The importance. You're getting out of autonomic nervous system. To rest, you have a stage. You have autonomic, which is fight and flight. That's action, right? You going in this world, you say my job is a plantation. That's fight or flight. You put yourself in fight or flight. Listen, you hate your commute, fight or flight, man. Look, man, I don't want to do it. I hate my coworker, fight or flight. Man, I'm eating on the run. I'm stressful eating, fight or flight. We spend the
Right.
day in fight or flight. Rest digest is the parasympathetic nervous system. You have to cause that. You can't just say, oh, I'm resting, and your body is still biologically in fight or flight.
Right.
You if that makes sense to, because you can be thinking you're resting. Blood pressure at 149 over 95. Good. But you've been sitting
Mhm.
still. See, your body is
Exactly.
biologically active. That's stress. That's where you get that leaky gut. That's with that irritable bowel, because it's pulling apart those walls. And then we eat and we already stretch these walls out. So man,
Right.
but that's not bad news, family. That's not bad news. Your body is trying to fix itself. This is why we're explaining this. This is your body trying to fix itself. How do I get out of the way? I rest. I let my body get into rest and digest.
Right.
Eating is fight or flight.
Wow.
Eating is
That
action. Yeah. Eating is, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and that's what How to Eat to Live is all about, to get us to stop eating so much.
Mhm, mhm,
You know, get
mhm.
out of that
And
fight or flight mode and get into fasting, which is rest and digest.
yes. And we are non-denominational for those that don't follow the nation. But
Right.
our foundation with health and wellness has always been how to eat to live, because that's
Mhm.
something we practice. But
E-
we've experienced the benefits from the books,
Right.
and right. And scientifically they've been proven right many years ago. I mean, so this ain't intermittent fasting. Everybody's fasting nowadays. It's
Right.
like, yeah. So the world has accepted in pieces some of the truth, and we just digging a little bit further, because this is our cure. This is how you cure. You give those cells a chance to heal themselves.
Mhm.
You get that
Beautiful.
urge to eat. You get that urge to eat. It's coming from right here, that limbic system. Okay. You smell something beautiful. Smell Sister Denise, not just beautiful, she got something medicinal. Man, right? See
Absolutely.
how that look? See, and then when this is the outs, because you can't see. You can look at a mirror and
Right.
you can see this. So and now on the inside though, see, it's getting right to your brain. And those molecules are small enough to pass through that
Yes.
blood-brain barrier. And so they become
Absolutely.
introduced in that cerebral spinal fluid and get circulated throughout your body. Man,
Right. Brother Sean,
22.
are you the aromatherapist?
Yeah, hey, I, just,
I love the way you break down that science, though.
I'm the salesman.
All right.
I'm Vanna White. I'm the person that be over there flipping the letters and stuff. And like,
Right.
oh, look at the prize. And
Right. Ooh,
yeah,
beautiful family. Yes, this has been great. So
yes,
we
yes.
right at an hour, Brother Sean.
That's
Wonderful.
awesome. Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
and Brother Michael, I'll send you that, inbox you that information. And he said he
Yeah.
sent you a friend request, Brother Sean.
Awesome. Awesome. We thank y'all
All
for
right,
tuning in.
family.
Great question.
Thank you
Yeah,
all
yeah,
for tuning in. And at we're gonna put a pin in it right here, and inshallah, we'll be back next week or this weekend, whenever we get the inspiration to share something with you all. We'll definitely be back. All right, you
yes.
enjoy. Peace and blessings, family, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Praise be to Allah. All
Yeah,
right.
that was a good show, sis.
That was good. Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.